Hi, everyone. Welcome to Emotional Warrior Radio. I have a guest today with me, Resa Bates, who is a motivator and author of Deep Within, and also a mother working hard to understand her life and help other people, but also, has a tremendous amount of experience that I thought went hand in hand with why I created this podcast. Emotional warriors to me are people that absolutely face what challenges they experience early in life and say, that's not going to stop me. I'm not stopping there, as they start to have to take responsibility for them in their young adulthood usually. And then they see all these emotional battles as possibilities to evolve, possibilities to grow and learn about themselves. So I really think your book, your story is like absolutely in alignment with what I find to be really helpful to also other people struggling with these issues. And that's why I do this work as well, is because I find people one-on-one, being a therapist, still feel isolated. It needs to be confidential what's happening to us on the inside. I'm like, wait a second, but your story reminds me of their story and their story. And really, we need to start sharing our stories in order to kind of humanize the emotional experience and the trauma that we go through even, and the experiences that we have that are difficult, instead of feeling shame or have to hide them. So this is a forum that I have created for people to either do sessions with me, and the applications came in a lot and then kind of subsided. And it also is a place for me to welcome you. So I want to welcome you to, this is your first interview I've been able to do so far on Emotional Warrior Radio. So this is also the other side of it, really bringing people on that represent what it is I'm hoping everyone starts to go towards. So thank you for joining me, Teresa or Resa. And I will. I know, only mom.
It's fine.
Only mom. And I wanted to ask you to kind of, with what I was saying, introduce yourself a little bit and let us know where you'd like to start in explaining your journey.
Okay, so I am Resa. I've had like a long history of battling with depression.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that in the beginning, it was hard for me to speak about it because growing up in the dynamics that I grew up in, we weren't allowed to really express the way that we felt.
Right.
I always heard whatever happens in this house stays in this house, and therapy is not for Black people. And it's just, so I kind of like held a lot of things in for a long time. And it kind of brought me to a place where I was very angry. I was very detached in all my relationships, basically. And then when I wanted to be emotionally vulnerable, I shut down, I walked away, and I didn't really say much. The only thing that really saved me growing up was I wrote a lot. Like I had a lot of journals. So I like to journal and draw. So that was like one of my ways to try to escape what was going on in my house, because I kind of grew up in a not so stable household. And then as we got older, things got much more crazier than expected. So I think what you do is try to bring everything the collective, which I really love, because I think people's stories, they do connect in a way. Like we may not always feel the same way or experience the same things, but I think it's like that midpoint where we can say, oh yeah, I've had that moment also. And by me battling depression, and, I had 3 hospitalizations, and from where I was then to where I am now, I can see like the journey that I had to take so I could be the person that I am today. I don't think I would have been the same if I didn't go to the hospital, because some people, they're very against going to the hospital. They're very against medication. They're very against going to therapy. But I find that my journey and what I did, it helped me to lead up to where I am now. Right. So I'm not going to say I would be better off if I didn't go, or, in reverse. But I do know that every step and every corner that I turn is absolutely for a reason. So I just think that when we do discuss about depression and all this other things, it doesn't even have to be just depression. It could be like other things that we're all battling. But I just really feel like there is a midpoint in everyone's story that they can relate to somebody else.
Right. And that I think that connection is exactly what, yeah, that midpoint, that connection where we intersect. Like, when you said right away, what happened in my house it stayed in my house. So did it in mine, probably for similar reasons. But you dealt with it, in certain ways and had certain outlets that were different from how I had it. But as soon as you said that, now I know I can relate to you. Now I know I can be vulnerable. Now so that's what we're talking about, is a space where it's not, oh, I've got to put on my persona or I've got to be perfect. I mean, even in this like therapist guys, I always try to talk about myself as a person. I didn't learn this from a book. Right. I mean, I definitely study books, and books are really helpful, but a lot of what it is I understand is organized in some way, but man, I understand it from the ground up. So I also really appreciate you pointing out for everyone that the hard path is not the wrong path. The hard path, or the taking a meandering this way, there isn't like the right way. The way that you go and what you go through has so much to do with informing the next step you take. You're not paying attention to it. Hopefully, you can take a look back over time and make sense of it. But I've found that there's no way that I'd even be standing right here doing this if I didn't go through what I did.
Exactly. And I don't think everyone realizes that. I think majority of the people, they think that things are happening to them and not for them. So, and another thing is like your mindset. So, I've had like crazy week, as you know. But in the end, I'm still looking forward to having a good weekend, because my mindset is, all right, I had to do what I had to do for the week. And of course, I didn't like the experience, but I had to process it and say, okay, what can I do better next time? So when I do come into that bump in the road, I won't have such a setback. I'm telling you, my setback started probably Wednesday. Like all those days, I'm just like, all right, I've had enough. And today I was just like, I'm ready to go home, I'm ready to get in my bed. Like I had enough. But and even in those moments, I'm training myself to say, when I do come into those situations, how can I change? How can I look at it differently? How can I react differently to the situation? Because I can't control what I'm going through. The only thing I can control is my emotions. So that's where I'm not trying to, but I am in that area where I'm just like, that's like trying to be my expertise right now. Try to control myself, even though around me is madness, basically.
It's the present. I'm having a pretty strong association to that, though, too, as far as because the way you're describing that really reminds me of the difference between childhood and adulthood is what you just said, is that childhood is everything's going on around you. It's chaotic. And it's difficult because you get caught up in the emotional, dynamics, dysfunctional dynamics. You take things personally. You go and shut down and become angry. You create all these defenses, during childhood, as life is all this adult wildness is going on around you. But in your adult life, if you don't take this step, though, if you're not seeing your adult life as a developmental process, right? It can be that again, and you're just regressing to that space. I really like what you said, because you can't control it, but you can stay present in your reactions. And I know people say that, but it just became really clear that's the difference. I now know that I can maybe have a little bit more patience with myself, more frustration tolerance. I can, this is a tough one, but I can have a positive thing I'm looking forward to in the future. What is it? So it's much more of a presence of mind that it's fine that those things are happening. You can stay in control of your reaction. That I think is when people say, oh, how do you do all this? How do you do all that? How do you make it better? And these are complicated situations, that everyone has to deal with individually. I think that's key to really stay, like how you describe that is key to growth. It's not like some big realization. It's this step-by-step presence and kind of what I would call like more of a micro processing
Mm-hmm.
of the moment, right? So, I mean, and you can learn, I mean, so better next time, but I kind of want to see how you're thinking about what I just said too, about this frustration tolerance. Because again, I think that might be
So I think like, 'cause when I used to get mad, I really used to, I can't even remember to say this out loud, but I used to like, because I saw my mom do it, like she just destroyed everything, like whatever it was, she just broke it up. So I did that till I was like maybe 19, 20. And then I think the last time I did it is when I got into an argument with my boyfriend, which is my husband now, and I had smashed my phone. And the way that he looked at me, he was just like, what are you doing? And then, so then I started to change the way that I reacted to certain situations. It took me a long time to get where I am now, but being that certain people came into my life that taught me a lesson, which was my husband, about, you know, expressing how you're feeling, you know, say what's on your mind in a moment, not having this big tantrum and then coming back and talking about it. Like, it doesn't have to be like that all the time. Like, we can have heated conversations, but it doesn't have to be like at the end of the conversation, oh, we're not speaking anymore. So through dealing with the emotions in the moment is really not, it's not easy at all. I'm telling you, it's not. It comes with a lot of practice. And it comes with a lot of growth also, because when you practice patience and you practice kindness and you practice generosity and all these things, it's going to come with something behind it. It's always, I'm not going to say a catch to everything that you do, but if you want to be more kind, you're not going to be presented with kind situations. You're going to be presented with situations that's going to allow you to be kind. So it's whatever that you want to be in life, you're not going to get it right away. You're going to get the lesson before you get the solution.
right.
So when I said that I wanted to become a meditation practitioner, which I am now, I got my certificate and everything.
Excellent.
But the moment I said that, the moment I said this is what I was going to do, what I want to be, I want to help people put balance in their life. A week later, my son was diagnosed with leukemia. And I was just like, this is just part of the journey. This is the test. So from December all the way to like mid-January, we was in the hospital with him. I did not see my bed. I did not see my home for like a month and a half. I was just in the hospital with my son. Spent all the holidays in the hospital, spent New Year's in the hospital. That tore me down. My family was separated. I wasn't with my husband. I hardly saw my children. And I felt bad that I was giving all my attention to my son. And I felt bad that I couldn't be there for my other two children. And I also was losing out on time with my husband.
Right.
So through the whole month and a half, I was trying to do everything and be everywhere at one place, which is not possible. So I brought myself to the point where I'm like, I'm here at the hospital. This is where I need to be. And as soon as I started to just be at the hospital with my son in the moment, whether we was in the game room or whether we was in the room playing a game, watching TV, once I started to be in the moment, things got a little bit easier for me. I stopped wondering what was happening at home, or stopped wondering what was happening with my children at my grandmother's house. Like, I stopped wondering. Like, my mind had to be in one place at one time. And once I started to do that, along with, you know, still journaling and, you know, crying and everything, I came to the point where I was like, this is it. Like, being in the moment is my key to the balance. So even though meditation helped me a lot, the second thing that helped me the most was being in the moment. Like, I can't control what's happening to my son. And if I felt so bad, like, as a mother and your son has cancer and I can't do anything about it, like, that ate me up for even to this day. Like, I can't do anything for him. I just have to take him to the hospital, have to take him to his appointments, leave everything up to the doctors, and leave the rest up to God. Like, I can't do anything. So being that this is like one of my situations that I'm dealing with now, it triggered me to say how I could be on that path of staying focused and staying in the moment, so I could be able to do what I have to do for everybody, including myself.
Right. Including yourself.
Including myself, but I come first. I have to put myself first. I have to do everything for me first, because if I don't, I'm no good to my family. I'm no good to myself. I'm no good to my husband. I'm no good to my friends. I'm no good to my family.
Right.
And I think burnout, which should be part of this conversation too, comes with trying to serve everybody and not putting any time back into yourself.
Yeah.
So once I got out of the hospital with my son, the first thing I did was sleep. Like, I ain't even gonna lie, I slept a lot in my own bed. I was so happy. But the second thing I did was I had to start taking care of myself, because I just spent the last month and a half pouring my energy and my time in being at the hospital with my son. So I had to like rebuild myself.
Right.
And also had a decision to make, because I was supposed to do a conference, like my first speech. And I was debating like the whole time if I should even do it, because I was just like, I'm so overwhelmed. I can't even think about doing a speech. I can't even though it was virtual, I was just like, I didn't think I could find the energy to do it. But I was like, you know what? I practiced. She wanted a 20-minute speech. I think my speech was like 13 minutes. I was like, look, this is what I have. Like, this is what I have. Like, you're just gonna have to fill in the space when I leave. But this is what I had. This is what I did. This is what this is what I'm going to do. And through that, I got 2 clients through that speech that I did. And when I think about it, if I hadn't done the speech, I wouldn't have got the clients. If I hadn't have pushed through what I was going through, I wouldn't have got to the place that I wanted to be.
Right. So
when we think about environment, when we think about mindset, when we think about all these things that happen for us, not to us, I think it's a beautiful thing when we can go through something and not say that, okay, because I feel a certain way, I'm not going to say how I felt. Because when I sent in my video, I told her everything that was going on. I was like, listen, my son was diagnosed with leukemia. I haven't been to work. I haven't been able to be with my husband. I got to her everything. Like, I sent the video and sent her a long email. And she's like, you know what? I ain't even going to hold you. I'm really glad that you still did it. So, yeah, and it was amazing. Like, I felt very proud of myself, because even though I wasn't feeling my best and I wasn't at my best, I still did something that benefited me in the end. Yeah.
And you can say that you're proud of yourself. I mean, and I love this, because the whole time I'm thinking the deep within. This is a story that shows you how deep you have to dig to get to a place that's in alignment with what's best, really for you both emotionally, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, for for your son, for everybody, in some ways it's all within, and there's something very deep. You get to that place. It's like you start with the problem, but then you dig in and you find the strength in there, and you're able to bring that strength up to do the thing and the thing is real. You're making it real, because without you digging deep and you just kind of or staying in that idea with your family, I'm losing control, I'm not around them, instead of digging deep for serious radical acceptance for the primary situation that you're in. That's what you can do, is be as present as possible. That's powerful.
Yeah.
So that's what you can do. I mean, a lot of people are right there and they're like, they're all over the place, and that's actually really, that's like, I wish you weren't here, so, because you're just stressing me out.
Right.
So the power of presence, and you found that through acceptance. And I mean, hopefully you will write about that, because I'm quite sure that a lot of mothers have dealt with the exact same scenario, and it's a very, very powerful bond and you want to be there, with your baby while they're going through this. So, that makes a lot of sense. And hopefully everyone has empathy for that decision that you made, so, and supported. So, this is where, again, where I think cross sections, or where we're the midpoint, that where we're connecting, people tend to get, they can connect on the story level, but they don't know where to go inside of themselves. So I think I have a little bit, if something kind of struck you about what I was saying, especially about your book and things like this, is that I really find that people with depression as well, that really struggle there, they seem to stay in like choppy waters. Even as a therapist, I have a difficult time getting them to really explore, where is the strength gone? It's like zapped. So, and I wonder about that sometimes, because I've definitely experienced it myself, and I've used routine to get myself back on track. But as far as something like you were talking, like bipolar, or anything where anger was first, but depression, like sadness, was there, I'm wondering how you found that place that we're talking about, that place deep where there's that strength.
Well, there's a lot of stories. So I think I would start with my last time that I was in the hospital, which was 2019. I just gave birth to Ava. Ava was about 4 months when I went in the hospital.
Okay.
They say that it was postpartum, but it was much more than that. Like when I got admitted, that's when I just told them everything. They thought it was postpartum, but it was much more than that. It was just like, so when I got in the hospital, right, I was having suicidal thoughts. I'm just going to tell you everything. I was having suicidal thoughts. I had went to work, right back to work, I think, when Ava was 3 months.
Okay.
That was my first time. I was guilty because my first child, Eli, I didn't go back to work till he was 4.
Okay.
Isaac, I didn't go back to work till he was almost 2. And now that I have Ava, I went back when she was 3 months. So I felt terrible doing that. I felt like a terrible, terrible mother. And then other things came up for me too, because I have 2 sons and now I have a daughter, which brought up my relationship with my mom, which it's okay. Like it could be better. Like I want it to be better. But it's always been like these years of trying to patch up everything and nothing's working out, or my mom is just too stubborn, or she doesn't want to see things my way. And it's just like, so I didn't know what to do. I was like, I have a girl. I don't know. What am I going to do with a girl? Boys are easy. Girls are much more complicated, So I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I think my 3rd day in the hospital, like I sat up in my bed, I think it was like lunchtime. And I was thinking like, why am I here again? Because this is my 3rd time being here. So like, why am I here? Like, why does this keep happening to me? So I kept thinking about like, everything from the time my father passed away up until I had Ava. Like I was just thinking about all the scenarios that happened to me. I think about all the situations I was put in. I was thinking about everything that did go wrong, could go wrong. And it's sure enough, everything was just wrong. I was thinking about some good times too, but it's basically the bad times that got to me. And it was basically the fact that I was trying to have a family, a healthy one. And I didn't know how to do that. So that weighed heavy on me. And I was at a point where I was just like, this is unknown territory for me. Like I grew up in a house where my mom and my father, they did fight. So I did watch that. I did witness that. I witnessed us moving around a lot. And I didn't know why until I got older. They wasn't paying the rent. I witnessed, not having clean clothes, not having, sometimes not even having enough to eat sometimes. So in essence, like everything that I was doing for my family, it was the reverse of what I grew up. So I was like, my children will never tell me they're hungry. My children will never have dirty clothes. My children will never, we won't be moving around a lot. So it was like everything I was doing for them is because of what I went through. I didn't want them to feel like how I felt.
Right.
So that's what I say, oh, because my last apartment, I lived there for 7 years. I didn't want to move, but I had to. And now this apartment, I've been here for 5 years. I'm not a big mover because of what I've been through. And I find that when I was in the hospital trying to figure out, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to come here anymore. You know, it struck me hard because I was still pumping to give milk for Ava. My husband would take it home for her.
Mm-hmm.
And the nurse was like, you're a very dedicated mother. Like, she was like, why are you here? And that's all I was just like, I need to get it together, basically. Like, I gotta fix this. Like, I can't be, I mean, I know there's situations where people have to be in the hospital, but I'm to the point where I need to be there for my children.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was just me. Like, I just feel like as a mother, I had the responsibility to have them. And I want to keep the responsibility to raise them so they're healthy and happy. So when I got to the point where I got discharged, I came home. The first thing I did was obviously with my children, playing with them, you know. And then I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't just disappear for, I think I was in there for like 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, and the first week tore me up because I'm just like, I wanted to go home, but I couldn't. So I was just like, I had to make a plan.
Right.
So I not, some things I wrote down, some things I just did. But I was like, I need to not have this spiral effect anymore. I can't keep taking on everything. I can't keep taking care of everybody. I can't keep checking in with everybody. Like, just my energy I was giving to everybody, but nobody was giving it back to me, which
Mm-hmm.
depleted me and left me feeling like I didn't want to live anymore because I'm just doing for others and not taking care of myself.
Right.
So when I got to the point where, you know, the phone calls, like, I wasn't calling everybody, I wasn't texting everybody, I started to protect my boundaries and protect my space and my time. I think for me, it got better. For other people, it got kind of bad for them, right, Rocky? Because I wasn't there for them and I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
jumping to save them and I wasn't always helping out. Like, they call me up. If I say I couldn't do it, you have to figure it out on your own because I'm not coming.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to reteach people how my time was valuable just as much as their time is.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started to put myself first, and not to say, like, you know, people say, oh, you know, they say, oh, don't you think that's selfish? I don't think I'm being selfish. I think I'm being smart. Because now, if I'm taking care of myself, if I'm eating, if I'm going to the gym, if I'm taking a shower, for crying out loud, these things that I need to do to keep myself feeling good, I have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it came with consequences as to where I lost one friend because she felt that I guess I wasn't giving her the attention that she wanted at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was very transparent about what I was going through. But again, like I said, I had to reteach people how to respect my time. She didn't want to respect it, so we're no longer friends anymore.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. At first it hurt because I was just like, when you go through things, you see who's really on your side and who's just really there because they're benefiting from you.
Yeah.
So that was another lesson that I had to learn. So just like, you know, I'm more on the fence of taking care of myself and my family against trying to keep up with everybody and do everything for everybody. So when you find the time to put yourself first, to have a routine,
Mm-hmm.
to take yourself out. Like, sometimes I went out and had lunch by myself and, you know, I just, because like, that's just what I wanted to do, something for me. I would go get a massage by myself. And, you know, I think it's better because I don't have to wait for anybody. I don't have to see if you're running late. And I just get up and go. And it was just like, so liberating to see that I don't really need anybody around to really have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just more peaceful for me. And when I came out and I said, I just need to take care of myself first, because that's what I was missing all these years. All these years I was just doing for everybody and taking
Mm-hmm.
care of everybody and being there for everybody, but I wasn't doing that for myself, that's why my favorite chapter in my book is show up for yourself.
Yeah.
because if you don't do that, nobody's going to do it for you. So you get to the point where you do things for yourself because nobody could do it for you. Case in point, eating and showering and going to the gym and, taking a bowl bath. Nobody could do those things for you but yourself. Like somebody could help you get there or help you, but those are the things you have to do for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started to take into account of my feelings and how I was reacting to certain situations, and if it wasn't healthy for me, I walked away from them immediately. I didn't stay. I didn't argue. I didn't fight. I just said, you know what? This is just not for me. I'm out. And when I got to that point, even to this day, like if somebody called me and like if my energy is up here and I'm like on cloud 9 and they're like on a 3, I gotta go. I can't talk to you right now. And I hang up the phone because I came to the place where I could be that strong to say, like, I'm not going to deal with that right now. And this is not for me. And I don't want any part of it.
Right.
And my family, which is my biggest thing, they had to learn the hard way. Cause it's like, we had a group chat and I got out of it because it was just all negativity. So then, and everybody called me individually. Oh, why you left the group chat? I don't want to be in this. I don't want to look at these messages. I don't want to see who's fighting with who. Like, I need to protect my energy.
Yeah.
And when I came to that point of protecting my energy and setting the boundaries and taking care of myself, I find that I was happier. I was happier. I felt lighter. I felt great, even though things weren't going my way. But I was able to take care of myself and kind of tweak where I wanted to be better at. And that eventually just led me to writing my book, which took a long time. But it happened and I did it. And I'm very, very happy and glad because it opened up a lot of doors for me and it's pushing me to do more than I thought I could ever do. And people that do have depression, I find that when you said something about they just be treading water, if people really think about people that have depression, I think not depression is a beautiful thing, but depression is a way to say that you're really in tune with your emotions. You just don't know how to physically and like express it. So I always say that my depression is my superpower, because if something is making me depressed, it's something that I need to pay attention to because I need to fix it so that I can operate.
Yeah.
So I that when you said that, it just brought me back to the time where I thought I was just treading water, but I was actually drowning. And when I was talking to my therapist, I'm like, I don't even think this is working. I don't think this is helping me at all.
Yeah.
And then I got to the point where it wasn't even a therapist. It wasn't necessarily me. It was just the way that I was looking at things. Like if you just change your perspective just a tiny, tiny bit, it can make all the difference. You know, I just really feel like treading water is really hard to do in real life. So mentally treading water is really, really difficult. And I think once we navigate the difference between where we are and where we want to be, that's why I say that living in the moment is like my biggest thing right now. That's the golden key that unlocked the door to everything that I'm doing right now.
Yeah, but and just to kind of reiterate it back, I think, to the question about digging deep, how you got to this place where you can continue to even grow is because this is such a wonderful story to show something that I think I can tell someone about as far on the surface, like, oh, do A, B, C, and D, but this is how. What you just was explained how, because it is that shift in perspective from, actually, that's a very codependent thing you were talking about. You're not only having a relationship with your family that informed you to be the complete opposite, actually is very draining, right? It's actually rigid. It's actually, I actually need to have the flexibility of all sorts of emotional experiences and have to move in this, but my reasoning is going to be very different. But when we just do the opposite, we're stuck almost in a pattern still with that experience. So, and that pattern taught us codependency, always be, managing everything around you so so nobody loses control. So you are always somewhat a mediator of all these issues and problems. And absolutely, you reteach people how to treat you. that, I mean, that in that process right there. But as soon as you started taking that route, Resa, you actually started to do like, and this has really made sense, is that you started to, all those resources, like I see like energy pellets, you only have so many each day. You started to collect them and bring them back in you. And so the resources you were giving out were now stockpiling.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were like, wow, I've got something to work with now. Oh,
Yeah.
and I can start using this resource to do for me. And oh, that gives me a little bit more because now I'm rested. And then you show up for your relationships in ways that are so much more healthy, and show up for yourself. And so things are now you're in kind of a reciprocal pattern. So, but I really love that metaphor of too, when you had to dig deep, but that space was empty, but you had to fill it back up through self-acceptance, through self-love, and this isn't like, just the idea of it. You did the things. And I think children, and I want to put this out there too, because it's Mother's Day soon, children can absolutely like open your eyes to how do I show up better? Like they really are an opportunity. They're a relationship that I think we can have, so powerfully if we're willing to grow.
Mm-hmm.
They're also a relationship that we can, whatever, if not, that we can really, destroy or, something. But if you are in a growth mindset, your children can motivate you actually through that love that you have for them, for yourself, empathy, everything like that starts to inform again, like how do I want them to see me? And I transform myself and they see that, they learn that. I don't even have to tell them. They're literally absorbing, all that they are around me, so that I think that's also part of this work is like, what motivates you? And if it's not a child or children or a family, it does need to be yourself. I mean, self-love and self-determination. Like, I really don't want to be in this space anymore. I want to use this as an opportunity to get out of this and keep building from there instead of kept pressing the reset button every time I've depleted all my stores again. Like, I think that's really my goal as a therapist. I'm like, we're not pressing the button.
Don't press that button, because that reset, it just, because I had to reset plenty of times. To hit that reset is hard to come back from every single time, because you say, okay, I've I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm seeing my therapist and everything is working out. And then like a couple things back to back just takes you right back down. There'll be times like I don't want to start all over. Like I just want to just not do anything, like, and see where that takes me. And it doesn't work. So I think the longer you work, the harder you work, it should be harder for you to even hit the reset button, because you want to see how much further you can go, unless you completely completely lose it like I did. And I just had to hit the reset because things just was not working out for me. And I saw it, like, to have the suicidal thoughts and to start thinking about a plan. That's a place like I don't want to go there anymore. I don't want to be in that moment anymore. Mm-hmm. So that's when I knew like I had to do something about it, because and then, okay, I do something about it. And then on the other side, like when you're around your family, my husband, and he doesn't know how to deal with it, it made it harder for me to even come to him with that.
Yeah.
So that was another dynamic of me actually having my downfall, because I just felt like I wasn't understood. I felt like when I said that I was having these thoughts or whatever, nothing was done about it. I'm laying in bed crying for days, and he just didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. So I just knew that there was something else out there. Like I didn't have to do this alone, and I shouldn't have to do this alone. Mm-hmm. And that's why I actually sought out the help, because, in my mind, I'm thinking, like I have two minds. Like everybody laughed at me when I said it, but I have two minds. My mind is my mommy mind, and then my mind is my mind. So my mommy mind was like, you have your children to take care of. You have to be there for me. But my mind was like, what is the sense?
Right.
So I'm just like in this constant battle with my two minds about what I need to do, what I have to do, what I could do without, what I can't do without. So my mind is always rapidly racing about what I have to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even about the time that I get there. It's about what do I need to do to get to where I want to go. So when I did have these, well, up until, my last hospitalization, when I did have that downfall, I just had to really just buckle down and believe that this can and will get better.
Mm-hmm.
And these resources are out here for a reason. And then, but I need to use the resources. I have to get back home because I have to be a mom. That's
Right.
my first job. Like, I have to take care of my children. They're still young. Like, I have Eli's 9, Isaac's 4, Ava's 2.
Mm-hmm.
I still have to be around for them. I have to get better, even if it's just till they turn 18. And if I snap, then I snap, but it's just, what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to, but I just need to keep that energy up so that I could be there for them, so they could see that their mom loves them. And I'm not trying to hurt them in any kind of way. And I know with me being gone, that really hurt them. They missed me. They wanted to see me. They couldn't come up to the hospital because, children are not allowed on the floor. So
Mm-hmm.
it was just a lot leading up to that initial moment where I was just like, enough is enough. I have to start taking everything much more seriously than I was before, because I don't want to have this spiraling down again. I mean, I can have a spiral down, but not all the way down to the point where I just feel like, I got to start all over again.
Right. And I think that's where, and then we can, transition a little bit, but I think that's where, I'm thinking too, like, that's what it feels like, is like one thought leads to the next. It's deeper. And you said depression is your superpower. And I also talk about codependency being a superpower. If you can take all those traits that you learn to take care of other people and manage everybody's emotions and tell this and that, you could do all those things for yourself, right? And actually care about yourself enough to do that. It is a superpower. It's really, really proficient at understanding so much. I think you turning it inward and writing a book and doing this, that makes so much sense to me, as far as, this being a superpower is when you can transmute something that's really difficult into something that is growth oriented and really powerful and strong. Mm-hmm. Right. That which again, you're doing time and time again. And you don't have to have a cape on. It's showing up for life, the complications of our day-to-day life, and all the things that happen. So, I mean, everyone is going to have this. And can you see yourself through it and see the beauty in it and see, and see the growth, as that is the investment. I mean, I am so valuable now in what it is that I'm doing and how I've grown that, I actually need to continue to protect myself and continue to, just shine brighter.
Right.
This is where I'm at now.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no really, there can be moments of revisiting emotional channels, but I'm wondering, like, if you have a suggestion for the audience about how to, stop the spiral, or things that you do to really pull yourself, like, redirect. We did talk about digging deep, if they maybe don't necessarily have that resource yet.
I think what I would say to that is, like, consistency. Mm-hmm. Like, you just have to stay consistent. And I guess if you have a routine, because I have a routine, like, and sometimes I don't want to do my routine, but once I see it through, and once I stay consistent and my day-to-day, and then have my fun on the weekends, I find that with me being consistent in everything that I do, even though I don't want to be, is I would say, would give me the upper hand in life. So I have to work, I go to the gym, I have the opportunity to be with my children, I have the opportunity to see my grandmother, I have the opportunity to check on my friends and family. But also, with me staying consistent every single day is what gets me by. Like, I'm not just saying, oh, I have to go to work. That's a mindset thing. Like, no, you have the opportunity to go to work. You get to go to work. You get to work out. You get to see your family. You get to be around people that you love. If once you see things as an opportunity instead of something that you have to check off the list, then you're at a bad place in life. If you're looking at everything as you have to do this, and you're looking at it as a, what's the word I'm trying to think of?
Should or
no, it's another word, but it's okay. Things that you feel like you're just not capable, or you just don't want to do it and you have to do it, then you're really not at a good place. But if you look at it as, I get to do this, this is my opportunity to be with my family, this is my opportunity to go to work, it's less off your shoulders because it's something that you want to do, nothing that you have to do. Like I say, people that have a 9-to-5 job that they don't like their job, and I've witnessed this so many times, and I'm like, so why are you here? Find another job. Like, what's going on? Like, why are you still here? Like, I never get it. Like, I always have these opportunities where I get either contract jobs or temp jobs. So I've never had an opportunity to stay anywhere for 5 and 10 years. And I think, by design, that's probably the best for me because the way that I move, I like to meet people, stay at a certain place, and I like to move on. So, but I go to these places and these people are just miserable about their work. So I'm like, why are you still here? Go find another job. It's just, I'm just here for the benefits. I'm just sitting here, I just be shaking my head like, it's much more to life than benefits. Like, you could do this on your own, like I hope I never get to the point where I'm going to a job, clocking in and out, and I hate it. Like, I don't want to get to that point. Like, I need to have a job where I'm up, ready to go, eating my breakfast, happy to be there. Like, every job I had, I was always happy to be there. At my last job, the contract ended last week, and people were so upset that I was leaving. I didn't even know I had like that impression on people. They was like, you're so refreshing to be around because like my mood, my energy is just always so high. The way, I speak so kind to myself, and the way I speak to myself, I speak to others. So when I have my interactions with people in the building, they really gravitated towards me because they was like, we don't have this around here because everybody is so miserable at this place. And I'm like, I'm really so sorry to hear that. But if you ever need to be lifted up, you know where I sit, just come get me. So I think when you find yourself in these positions where you can just be in the moment and have the opportunity to say, I have the opportunity, or I get to do this, then you're in the right place. So the spiraling down effect, that would be more of a say for you to have like your plan in place. Like if you're starting to feel a certain way, like that's when you say, okay, you got to call your therapist, spend time with your friends, or, do a project or just something to help you from falling down. I'll call it the trickle down effect. So if you get up, like some days I get up and I just don't want to get out of bed. And I'm like, all right, let me just take my shower. I take my shower. If I still don't feel right, all right, let me get my breakfast. If I still don't feel right, like, let me put on my favorite song. Like it's all these things that you can do to like bring you one block up, one step up, so you don't have to start falling back down. And sometimes I would do everything, and for that day, nothing would work. Like, I'm not even going to lie. Like some days I would do everything and just like, today just wasn't that day for me. But at least I stayed consistent in what I was doing. And then the next day I'll wake up and I'm like, all right, I'll take my shower, I'll do my breakfast, listen to, okay, my favorite song helped me out today. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just like when you wake up and you are in your head and you're in these thoughts, and you just have to have things that you lean on.
Right.
Something that you can have an outlet for. Sometimes I can go months without drawing. I could do months without doing anything. And then I get hit with something. And then for like 3 days, I'm working on something. Like I just go pen to the paper and I'll just do something. So I always have something that I can fall back on to put my energy into, to keep me from going from negative to positive. Because once you just have negative, what happens is you start taking out of the bank, you start having an overdraft fee. And sometimes we do too much. We get to that point and we're just like, if you're not putting no money in the bank and you keep taking money out, like you're depleting yourself. So there's a way for us to build ourselves up even when like no one's really around, because it was a time I didn't really have a support system. Like when I came out and said I was depressed, I just got to, oh, what are you depressed about? And like all these things, I'm just like, you guys have no idea what I've even been through. Like besides my father's death, like, I was sexually molested. I was like, taken advantage of. My mom, she was an alcoholic, so growing up with her wasn't that easy. So just like people, they're on the outside looking in, they don't know what's going on. So they think you're happy, they think you're fine, but they're not. No one really asks you, how you're feeling. And then when you do, you say, oh, I'm okay. Like I had to get to the point where I'd be like, I'm not okay, but I don't want to talk about it. I had to get to the point where I had to stop lying to myself about how I was feeling to others. And that's another thing that I think, we all really guilty of doing. We just say, how was your day? Oh, it was okay. And it was a really crappy day. Just say I had a bad day. And it's okay to say that. And if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But stop lying to yourself about certain situations.
Yeah, because you shut yourself in. As soon as you say it's okay and it's not okay, you just shut yourself in. You literally just close the door on yourself from being able to connect with another person, even if they don't say the right thing. You can at least be honest with yourself. And somebody's asking you, be honest, so the door stays open in case, But what you were talking about too is that perspective shift is phenomenal. But and that is huge. I mean, having a sticky note, opportunity. Everything is an opportunity. I don't have to. This isn't a demand on me. This isn't a chore. This is something I want to show up for. And put yourself in a positive frame. And the other part is, what you were like talking about sounds to me like being the parent you never had. By, what you're feeling.
I think we all become the people that we needed when we were younger.
Yeah.
And that's very powerful. Like, I don't think a lot of people realize that I am the person that I needed when I was much younger. I needed to be protected. I needed somebody to care for me. I needed somebody to physically be there for me. I needed somebody to mentally be there for me. And when I realized, like, I am who I am because of what I've been through. Yeah. And now I'm able to provide for my children, which is the most important thing. Like, I hate that it happened like that, but I'm also blessed because now I'm also able to not take my children down the route that I went.
Yes,
I'm able to change that narrative. And when you are the writer of your play and you realize that you can change the script at any time, that's when you start tapping into that true power of really digging deep within, because not a lot of people, I mean, maybe they don't know, but some people do. Like, if you don't like something, you can change it.
Yeah.
And that's always a power that we all have. But I don't think people realize how powerful we are, because we rather, as humans, we rather just have a pity party and just want attention in the wrong way.
Yeah, outside of us.
Yeah, outside of us. Like, you want to be stroked all the time instead of, buckling down and really dealing with the situation. Like, we're not children anymore, we're adults. And we have the ability to change anything that we want to, but only if you want to. Like, if you don't want to do it, it's not going to happen. Because I know plenty of people that are in situations that they can clearly change, but they just decide not to. And it's just like, okay, that's your story, that's not mine. Like, I'm going this way, you can go that way.
And that's everybody's choice. And that's why I think in this, like, as far as education is concerned, you and I can put a lot of education out there. People have to want to. And then once they get in there, we'll have to want to do the work. Why? For them. And for everything, that the reward, I think, is exponential, meaning like it always is growing. So, I mean, I know at first it might not seem like it goes fast enough, but wait, let it build. Keep going, be consistent. Like you said, the consistency is huge. And when we look back a year from now, I love doing work with people one-on-one that way. I'm like, remember when you came in? Let's just take a walk down memory lane. You're like totally stabilized and feeling, you've got, certain issues, whatever we all do, we're all working through, but the foundation is there. So, but I love that you came on today and that you were able to dig deep right? Within. Tell people where they can get your book.
Well, right now it's on, you can get it straight from me if you want to.
Okay.
Just I'm on Instagram at Resa Bates, or it's still on Amazon. So if
Okay.
you want to get a copy on Amazon, you could do that, or I could send you an invoice and send it to you myself. I'd rather you send me an invoice because with the book come some goodies. I would say that I'm not gonna, put a spoiler alert out there. When you do purchase from me personally, I do put like a little care package together for you, and I do send it out. So
Awesome. Awesome. And then too, I will add that link to this in the podcast. And I am so grateful that you're with your son. I'm sure he's going to fully recover, and with time and love and all of that. So I would love to hear how he's doing as you continue with his treatment too. He's almost done?
not quite. I wish. We're still in the beginning stages. So because he was diagnosed back in December, so we're on the study for 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
3 years.
So so we're not quite there yet, but we will get there.
Yeah, I think so.
Trying to give him the maintenance phase so he can get back in school and be around other people, because right now he can't really be around people, and so it's been kind of a difficult situation to be in. But nonetheless, things are getting done, and he is healthy, and he's fighting. So long as he's fighting, I'm fighting, we're all fighting, and we're all going to get there.
Yeah, that's where that positive strength comes through, and so amazing in children. They are the strongest.
They're really resilient. Yeah, they're really resilient.
Really beautiful to watch
Right.
them feel. So I'm sure this will add to character later in life.
Later, how about right now?
Yeah. and congratulations on your meditation certification. I did yoga for like 12 years, and it's a beautiful thing, not only to have as a practice, but to share too. So keep going. I will talk to you again, Resa, for sure. We'll have to meet again and continue talking.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Okay. And bye everyone for now, and we will get back to you soon.